Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Rotimi Aitaya, and I'm glad to be here and excited that I'm here with you as well. And of course, if this is your first time of connecting with us, please do let us know. Tell us where your location is. Tell us where you can help us to understand how to connect with you better. And of course, do not hesitate along the line when we have our conversation. Do not hesitate to ask your questions. If you do have questions, do not hesitate to contribute as well. Say something, let us know that you're there. We're always excited to meet people who are coming for the first time, streaming for the first time, joining us for the first time. It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. And today will be an exception. So as you connect with us, please do let us know. It's always a great morning with us here. And of course, without wasting much time, we'd like to know those who are also um, connecting with us as our tribe members. On the Good Morning Education Show, we do something very familiar and fantastic. We're reviewing the news within around the world of education, and then we introduce our analysts, our guests, who will always share with us from their different views and expertise on the subject matter being discussed. Today will not be an exception. We always guests and analysts, they're always ready to share. And we always have fun on the show. You can't be a part of the show and you will not laugh, you will not smile, you will not be happy, you will not have the mood set for the day and the entire week. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleague is already on standby, and it will be good for me to introduce Titi. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to the
Fantastic.
Good Morning Education Show.
And then we have Ayolua from Canada. Good morning, Ayolua. Always on
Morning.
standby. She's like she's the one that's beating Gideon to first timer. She's always the first to join the show.
Hmm.
So Titi, you're looking bright and looking shining, lovely top, lovely, lovely background. How are you? What's happening? What's happening? I know when you're ready for some alerts and alert conscious states. So you see, I'm feeling the vibes.
I'm feeling the vibe. You're not a prophet in that area, so
Yes,
I'm agreeing with you.
yeah.
I'm agreeing with
So,
you. Good morning.
we had a conversation yesterday, and really, yesterday's conversations on the show was quite profound. We didn't have enough time though, but we had so many views, and it was just a great session. And today, we'll be having a fantastic time as well. Today, we'll be talking about something that a lot of people would technically um, would have wanted to hear from the first day of the new year. And we did a little bit of that in a closed circuit meeting. And but then let's bring some of these conversations, as it were, into the public domain. So we'll be talking today about sector predictions. Sector predictions. I'm sure Titi, your notepad is set. Your note.
Set to it. You are the prophet, wrote to me. You and Jude. So we'll be expectant. I hope Jude the prophet will be here to come and prophesy into the predictions for the sector. So we look to you.
Okay, if you say so. I just want us to just take maybe a portion of the news, and then we'll kickstart for the day. And I think basically not too many things making the headlines today. Pretty much probably because everybody still has that resumption wave. And so we're seeing Uniloring, Uniben, and Babcock University, I believe. I'm not sure what BUK is. They are announcing their resumption dates. Um, so it seems like everybody's just revving back to the realities of resumption. What's your thought on that?
I think it's going to continue because in the end, I don't want to say, but life must go on in the midst of chaos, in the midst of the pandemic, in the midst of whatever it is. Life must go on. We can't be in limbo for long. So everybody has to find out till we venture out, um, and then we then know what adjustments we need to make, but not to venture out. That's what they say about life. You have to venture out. You might fall, you might not fall, but till you step out, you won't know. So I think that's really where everyone is. We must all step out. All schools, all businesses, everything must just start again. And then when you start, you then see the adjustments that you have to make along the way. So I think everybody needs to make that decision because so many lives are dependent on the whole ecosystem. The lecturers, the teachers, the school owners, the cleaners, the janitors, the people that sell biscuits and gala, you know. So I'm telling you, you'll be amazed at the ecosystem that evolves around the school system. The parents too are also they also need that kind of a bit of normalcy that needs to come back to life. We all just need to start, and then when we do venture out, we'll see the adjustments that we need to make along the way.
Yeah, I'm sure if you've been following the U.S. news, the President of the United States, Joe Biden, has announced, for example, that within the first 100 days, they want to have 100 million vaccinations out as a people to get 100 million people vaccinated. That's quite, that's, how do I call it now? That's amazing. 100 million in 100 days. It's pretty much almost like saying a million per day. And then he mentioned a lot of things about the assistance by the regulatory bodies on how to help the university and the school system, from K-12 especially. There was a focus on K-12, on getting them, the right assistance, the right framework for testing, continuous testing, and support, as it were. So, this is we having not just a blanket conversation of a particular leader, but we're having spot on references, which means almost the relevant people who should take steps and take shape, they're already, aligning with that. And that's quite interesting. And I don't know, well, how do we relate that to our own experiences here?
I'm not even aware that we have the vaccine in country, formally. Let me put it that way, because Nigerians are fast. For all you know, we already have it. Some people are going to order, but I think for us, it's not going to be the way it's going for the US. They have the financial clout to pull that off. The average African country does not. So for the average African country, they would try to get in their own bit of it. I know the WHO is in talks to ensure that the less fortunate countries are not left behind in getting the vaccines. So for our countries like ours, most of countries in Africa, I think what's going to happen is going to be on a need basis. When I mean need basis, that they are going to prioritize the people that would be given priority in taking the vaccine, especially when really our death rates are much lower. So that's really going to happen. What's going to happen? That's what I predict. So it's going to be a case of when we do get the vaccines in Nigeria, they would give certain people priority. I'm hoping that among the people they will give priority would be, the health workers, especially those that are all dealing in the isolation centers, especially those that are in the epicenter states, so states like Lagos, states like Abuja. I think those are the people that they should give the priorities, and they should just come up with the priorities really. So if we look at in the scheme of things, in the scheme of priority, we are somewhere down down the ladder. So even in terms of schools and teachers, it's what Rhoda always says. If you don't have the data to show that they need to be priority, they most likely will not be making to the priority list. We haven't had a lot of cases that we know of, in terms of data for schools. so that to put them on the priority list. So that's why for now, all the people that we know are on priority list are really more of the health workers, the health elderly, and then those that have underlying health conditions.
Fantastic, fantastic. It just also comes out as a reflection of the values. Whatever we value as a nation, and whatever value as professionals and expertise or regulators, the, the true test of value is going to be shown. If we value process over people, we value people over process, we value lives, we will begin to see it as well. For that's about all that we're able to take. Do you have anything that you want to say? Any upcoming events that you know about that you would like to share? Any product that has just been created by the TT gang or the Niger Kids gang or the TT family or the brethren, as you would like to call it?
Yeah.
Any particular thing you'd like to share? So
Yeah, I think it's important that everyone is aware of what the predictions are in terms of the economy. I know that Faith Foundation has on the 28th, I think, they have an economic outlook that they are organizing a webinar. It's a free webinar. I will encourage everyone to, have a look, think through what the predictions and the outlook are and how it affects them as a person, especially in the education space. I keep saying that, for a lot of things to change, a lot of things require money and funding. So you also need to know where the funding and the money will come in that would then determine the level of change that will happen in the sector. If we can't see it, then a lot of things will really just be status quo or very minimal change. That's the honest truth. I think another good news is that a very popular platform called Khan Academy. Khan Academy is a platform that provides videos and a bit of worksheets for children along the world. It has been an NGO. It's a not-for-profit organizations, and for a long time they opened it up out to people for free. But by the time the pandemic took over, it was a major challenge for them to accommodate the large number of people that are flocking to their website. So they made a bit of changes where they were encouraging people now to contribute and donate towards their fund. But the good news that happened during the week was that they got funding from Elon Musk. So Elon Musk gave Khan Academy equivalent of 20 billion naira funding to help them. Of course, this would mean that they'll be able to do more. So it's one of those things that when it comes to education, funding is so critical. It's so critical to make a change. So even when the willpower is there, even when the desire is there, because of the mass of people that are involved, for you to make the greatest impact, it requires a lot of funding. And if that doesn't come in, then it's tough. I think from our own end, in terms of Niger Kids, we are releasing new worksheets. So we were focused on games last year, but this year we are focused on releasing our round of interactive worksheets. So what this simply means is that as a teacher, as an educator, you can send the worksheets to your children to do. They fill it, it's online, and it helps them to market as well, so they can see that and send the results to you as a teacher, send the results to your parents, and of course the platform will be tracking all that. So we hope to bring that out before the end of Q1. We also hope to add on to a lot of our games this year. So we did a lot of that last year, but this year we have a massive plan to add to a lot of our games, all the way from preschool to junior secondary. I think another interesting thing that's happening is that we're also going bigger with regards to our CSR initiatives. Last year and the year before, a lot of our CSR initiatives were restricted to our neighborhood and our community. So we used to take our devices and go to the neighboring schools and play the games with the children in all public schools that did not have access to technology. But this year, with the grants that we've gotten from Lagos State, we would be going to way more schools across the 6 districts here in Lagos. And I'm hoping to be able to, that was my prayer this morning. I said, God, I know that I said Lagos, but this year I would like to get to Abuja and maybe get to Port Harcourt. So I'm hoping that we would get the funding to do that. Go spend a week in Go spend a week in Abuja with our devices, that with a number of schools, and go get a week also in Port Harcourt, that with a number of schools. Our focus when it comes to our CSR initiative will always be public schools, schools that don't have devices, they don't have generator, they don't have light, so that this thing is just something. We always say that when it comes to education, when it comes to technology, it shouldn't be something that is for the haves. It should be something that it's that's one of the SDG goals. It needs to be affordable quality education for everyone. And for us, primary school is where we are starting. So I think those are my two things that I'm looking at. So I'll be excited to make that happen. So I'll put that on my as for 2021.
Well, I had told you already. It just that December was when I wanted to drive you out of your comfort zone, but all things work together. So I'm preparing the way for you. Don't worry. I'm in Port Harcourt, and I'm preparing the way. Consider it done and dusted for Port Harcourt. Consider it done and dusted for Abuja, and I will be there. All things being equal, I will be there. We're storming those locations together this year. Is CSR and storming together. So we're doing what we call coastal dominance, and for us to dominate the coast, it's
who
not.
knows? Who knows who's listening to us out there? Honestly, if we can come to your state during the year, I think basically it's just once accommodation, feeding for the team is sorted out, we are ready to come. Really,
Yeah.
We're ready to come.
And guess what? We're putting structures in place. We will stream some of the Good Morning Education show live in a particular school. So imagine us having a live audience. It just feels like we're having a late night show or a show with Oprah Winfrey or something like that. But going that big this year. So, ladies and gentlemen, something is coming. Something's coming up. And I met with Gideon Essien yesterday. We saw and we had great conversations. I'm after the show. I'm heading to his school, and I'm going to have a school tour at the school as well today. So thumbs up to Gideon. I'm storming Gideon's school on behalf of the Good Morning Education Show crew. Yes, so we're going to see.
That is why people need to join our tribe. You just need to be on the Good Morning Show. It's a place to connect. Honestly, it's a place to connect. Who knows what will be taking us to Abu Dhabi? Who knows what will be taking us to
no, that's something. Our last one is already on that. So we're revving. Ireland gets set. Italy gets set. Canada, Ayo, you're there. I'm sure she's listening. Ayolua, get set. You're hosting us in Canada, and this year we're maxing out physically and virtually. We're maxing out. All right, so let's get to the business of the day. Some people are waiting to hear what we have to say. I believe that those who watch the replay, they would like to find out when did Rotimi, when did the Good Morning Education show turn into a prophetic channel? Well, like it is, we're always coming up with something new. So education predictions or sector predictions, basically what it simply means is that our ability to predictively profile what will happen as stakeholders, what will happen as regulators, what will happen as individuals, what will happen across the value chain of the industry. And please understand, sometimes predictions are not necessarily what has happened already and what must happen alone. Predictions are also advisory concept or advisory precepts that people can leverage on. So it's not just saying something that will happen without your permission or involvement, but perception of prediction is also something of counsel. So there are two ways we look at it, right? Yes, or Titi, I say something to you. She said, yes, so, and then she said, ever ready. So you see, there you have it. When you ask, you receive. When you seek, you find. And if you knock on the door, you get it open. All right, so predictions today, it is stay tuned. We're going to be trying our possible best to leverage on the time. I have some powerful things I need to say to you. But let me start by predictions. Because I know Titi is waiting for me to say something.
I have my pen ready to take notes.
You said what?
I said I have my notebook and pen ready to take notes.
All right. So let's look at. I'll just read out some things. And let me start with what Titi might really get interested in. I believe that this year there will be a lot of increase in gamified learning. Absolutely, we've witnessed what happened when we started having online virtual learning. We started having blended learning, and then we begin to see the path of gamification, spreading. In fact, almost everything will begin to have some touch of element of gamification. And I know that Titi has a lot to say when it comes to that aspect. So gamification is Titi's domain. It's almost like oxygen for you. So do you want to say something about that?
No. Rotimi, go through all your predictions so that we know which angle we'll attack from.
All right, so there's gamification. And then, of course, we're going to witness a lot of student protection this year. There's been an outcry coming into the new year, and there's going to be a lot of safeguarding concerns because, of course, we're now going fully more or less, we're moving away from just conceptualization and migration online. It's now, in fact, culturalization and some level of consolidation online. And that means that there are many things that will begin to shape realities. And therefore, student protection and safeguarding of students will be on the lips, especially within the first 2 quarters of 2021. You begin to see a lot of talk and realities of that. There's going to be some issues in the past that will be dug up, and people must brace up, for whatever has been swept under the carpet. You will see a lot of skeletons being exhumed. That's what's going to happen this year. Trust me, you have a lot to say on the Good Morning Education. So we will be told to dissect a lot of what happened. Trust me, from especially going towards Easter, we begin to see that. And then I foresee the comfort and the possibility of sales and conferencing migrating to YouTube. So I am thinking that in 2021, YouTube might replace and disrupt conferences in a large way. So I remember we were having a conversation yesterday, and I have an idea that popped up when we had that conversation, but I said I'm going to talk about that much later. But pretty much it's just like talking about the word getting more, from other markets. And the fastest fingers and the fastest medium and the fastest way to do so will be on platform, especially galvanized platforms like YouTube. So when we're talking about conferences, there will be conferences, but guess what? It's like YouTube is going to be replacing a lot and disrupting a lot. We're going to be seeing more, well, not just on the front end and the back end, but also in the system of education. We're going to be seeing more focus on habits and personal development as well. We're going to see people shifting from setting goals to forming habits, because now goals were monumental in nature, but there's a huge rise and surge on personal development as opposed to professional development. So in the new year 2021, if you want to take opportunity, if you want to take positioning, the best thing to do is to find ways where you can position where people are focused on developing themselves personally as opposed to professional development. However, the personal development that aligns with them succeeding in their profession. So it's more or less like there will be a lot around, the essence of soft skills, not just soft skills, but the essence behind soft skills. So you see people working more in the area of building their mind and capacity, feeling fulfilled. You find a lot of people trying to see how they can overcome fear. The subject of fear and courage will be a lot discussed. And this year, I'm particularly going to be dwelling a lot on the courage aspect of coaching that I do, where I will get people to identify their fears, face their fears, conquer their fears, The Face Your Fear, an evening to Face Your Fear Roadmeter is coming back. We're going to start in February, an evening to Face Your Fear, and then the master classes as well. And this year, you will likely witness what we call all year round schooling or all round year schooling. Because pretty much what happens is with staggering education, with staggering schooling, with staggering teaching, and the form of blended learning, project based learning, you realize that typically we're not stuck to 8 to 4 any longer. So a lot more people will begin to experience that, we just have this all year round schooling. So even when we're off time, we're doing something, that's going to happen. And of course, there will be a lot of student mobility, and that would give reasons to international attention. So there will be this competition of having to get students. Student mobility will be a big time um, aspect. And then, of course, we'll be exploring telecommunication options as standard practice for student classes. So, Titi, you mentioned something about that some days ago, and Rhoda also confirmed that there's need for us to zeroize, some of this cost. So you imagine in a situation, even up to tertiary institution level, where people would be able to take classes in the evening, even when it's not like as if it's online real time as in physical classes. So that's going to happen. And of course, there will be a lot of industry partnerships with higher institutions so that the relevance of what they do would happen. And then for those who are seeking job opportunities, I foresee in secondary schools, even in primary schools, and all the way to tertiary institution, a new position. Just like some time ago, we didn't have social media managers as a job portfolio, but I think we're going to be having a portfolio of innovation officers. And so if you're having any skill or any certification towards that, this is the best time to polish it and submit your CV. Your CV will become a proposal, because the truth is those portfolios don't exist. So think about it. You talk to a private university or a public university, talk to a private school or public school, tell them, I can apply for an innovation officer or innovation executive or innovation assistant, to drive the reality, because any school that will thrive, it's not just because of their size, but the size of their innovation, the implementation of their innovation, and the integration of their innovation. So I think I'll stop there right there and welcome Safety Chick officially to the show today, and then take over back to Titi. Safety Chick, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. Good morning, Mrs. Adeusi.
Good
I want
I
to
was
morning.
see your
enjoying the
face.
predictions.
I want to see your
Because of
face.
what happened yesterday. Because of what happened yesterday, I had to I had to go with the no video option to see if the lag will stop. Because I was having
Okay.
challenges connecting.
I want to
Yeah.
see your face. Prophet Jude in the
Okay.
building. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
we go in.
You
Ladies and
don't know.
gentlemen, the prediction is complete. Yes. Yes, so virtual chop chop, virtual chop
I'm
chop,
telling
virtual
you,
chop chop. Goes that. Titi all of
you
a
know,
sudden is scared. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I told you this week will pass. My bodies will show up. My goose, come on.
Good
honestly,
morning, everybody. Good morning, Titi. Good
good
morning,
morning.
Ugochi. And good morning, Mr. Rotimi. And finally, good
Yes,
morning,
so, yes, so, yes,
Internet.
so.
Good morning, Internet.
You see,
Honestly, I
Titi
was
is
just saying
stupid.
to myself
Which
that
is
this
cameraless.
safety chick was here. Rotimi, as you spoke, I was listening to myself. I wish safety chick was here, because you
Yeah.
mentioned a very important thing that I would like her predictions on. And today would not be complete if you didn't have the prophet in house. So honestly,
Oh my gosh.
it's as if God heard me and just brought the two of them. And that's what I thought just stopped. Like,
Oh.
safety chief needs to come and talk about
Mm.
student protection and student safety. I was just
Safety,
saying
yeah.
that because as we talk all this, technology, we need to talk a lot more about, safety. And
Safety,
then
yeah.
as I was also talking about student protection, with all that happened last year, especially with the, Deeper Life incident and all that, it's still safety. And,
Yes, yes.
Yes.
we need very, it's easy to point finger when someone is the when someone is made the scapegoat.
Scapegoat.
But if we are all honest with ourselves, if every school is honest with themselves, what this was a wake-up call. It wasn't a time to point fingers.
Yes.
They say that thing about pointing fingers, that four are pointing back at you. It was a time for you to wake up and say, do I have the structures in place to prevent this occurrence? Anytime there's a safety, safety tip is coming from the airline industry. The airline industry, the oil and gas sector industry are people that put safety at number one. And whenever there's a safety incident, they don't go laughing, say, CEO, this school, this company. No, they immediately open an audit. They kick off an audit, say, do we have in place, one, the policies, two, are those policies being adhered to, that this incident, the possibility of this incident occurring is minimal. So I really would like, safety to start predictions where he sees the child protection and, both from an online and an offline perspective.
Okay, so I will just start from the example you gave.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just start from the example you gave about incidences in the aviation sector. So I'll give a very practical example to buttress it before I go on to talk about in the education space. So some years ago, we had a situation in the aviation industry where a co-pilot waited for his captain to step out of the cockpit, and then he locked the door and then he crashed the plane. Due to that incident, because after investigation and all those things, a new rule was put in place it is being used across all the airlines in the world right now, where if anybody in the cockpit is stepping out to ease themselves, another crew member, even if it's a cabin crew, must go into that cockpit and stay with the cockpit crew. And the reason is as simple as, if this the pilot on the controls wants to make a wrong decision, it's not that you are going to be the one to land the plane. Your job is to open the door for the other person to come in, because the other person is going to neutralize the activity of the person trying to take down the plane. I don't know if we understand what I'm saying. Now, that simple tweak makes a difference. Your job is not to come and land the plane. Your job is just to ensure that you open the door for the other trained personnel to come in. And this now became a change that happened across the entire industry in the world. And that is what wake-up calls should do for us. When things like this that are affecting safety show up in any industry, it is time for everyone to see, okay, so what are the findings? What can we begin to do better? So I want to believe that everybody that has seen what happened with the school, they should have been thinking of, so in my own school, if this were to happen, what procedures do we have to ensure that children can even report, and that when they report, the actions are taken to protect them? That is what they should be thinking about. Now, the second thing is that for online, last year, Google, UNICEF, they started rolling out plans. People should apply for grants to boost online safety, because they saw that last year alone, the threats that children were exposed to in the online space skyrocketed. And many parents were just thrust into this without any training, without any preparation. All they just knew was, they say we're having class on Telegram. They say we're having class on Zoom. And so they just handed devices to their children without preparing them adequately. So yesterday or 2 days ago, I saw a post on Facebook about a boy who wrote a letter to his classmate telling her to come and meet him at the toilet because he had some pornography he wanted to show her. And then when the parents was called, the teacher flogged the boy 5 strokes, or I think 6 strokes, and the boy reported to his parent. The parent was calling down fire and brimstone on the school, even when she was told what the boy had done. And so the principal now had to say, okay, please, teacher, Please, next time if you see any, even if you see them having sex, don't do anything because I don't want to lose their school fees. Because the woman threatened to withdraw the child and all her children, and I think their school fees is quite high. Now, these are the realities these are things that are happening. So there's a role for all stakeholders. So there's a role for the school, there's a role for the parent, and then there's a role for the children. These things are not going to stop. But what systems are you putting in place to ensure that everyone knows what to do and can protect themselves? If you are sending your child to a school where you are not certain of what their protection system is, does your child know to speak to you when certain red flags occur? Does the school have so parents need to become, should I say, what's the word now? They need to become strong to ask the tough questions. They shouldn't be afraid of what people are going to say, because as you are afraid, somebody that their own child is doing bad thing is not afraid. You can imagine a parent threatening to remove their child and say, is he the only one? Is that all? If a parent is saying that, then your own child is not safe being in that. So you too, you should be tough to ask the question, what is your protective measure? If a child is bullied in this school, who are they supposed to call? What are the procedures for managing it? Who can they report to without victimization? So those are really important questions. So schools should be putting systems in place, because now with the power of the internet, more parents are going to go online and report what is going on. A lot of people are watching what is going on with the Deeper Life School, and they're already taking, should I say, knowledge of steps they're also going to take if they find themselves. So people are going to begin to call out schools on their bullshit. So if you are not putting the systems in place, you are going to see that these things are going to fall back on you, and you really do not want that to happen to you.
Thank you so much, Safety Chief. KK in the building. Good morning, KK.
Welcome, good morning, everyone. Good to be here.
Welcome, KK.
Welcome.
Kai. Oh, we miss Nana.
All right. So, do you want to say something? You want to jump in on that?
Yes. I'll just give my 2 cents point. Most times, okay, I was watching this what they call it, this documentary on social media. Maybe I shared a clip on it too. And some of them, these experts from around the world, they talked about social media and all that. And one of the biggest experts, I also watched him yesterday again. He was saying, go and delete all your social media accounts. Go and delete. And I agree with him, because he's saying, he's pointing it from the perspective that it is as bad as a drug addiction. You get it? So it could be as bad as a drug addiction. So especially when it's affecting mental health, right? When it's affecting mental health, and you find that people are even hurting themselves with this news, fake news, different kind of publicity that they can't handle mentally, and it becomes more of a strain rather than a reward in their life. So when it comes to safety, most times people it seems sometimes people are a bit helpless, right? People are a bit helpless to even make moves to carry out these safety questions or measures, which Sissy Chick was talking about. For example, in tech, right? As almost all schools or everyone was coming online, by now it would have been seen that policies, right? Policies in terms of safety policies for students online would have been widespread, would have been part of our what they call it, our campaign for child safety online. But I don't see much of it. It's almost like everybody is stuck in what platforms to use, what app to use, which school is not favoring their parents, than even focusing on the mental health of their children when it comes to online safety and all that. either we don't see online safety as a priority, or maybe it has not gotten to the point where we should see it as priority. Probably that's the case.
No, as a
I understand what
matter
you're
of
saying.
fact, do you know that because of the rise in this online safety incident, and because I saw that a lot of international organizations started rolling out different grants so that people could create things to protect the
Protection.
children. I decided that the theme for the school safety summit for this year is going to be on online safety. So we're going to be looking for experts because these conversations need to happen. People need to know about the systems that they are putting in place to protect the children, even the online education we're talking about. How can we ensure that things are not slipping between our eyes? I don't know if we heard the story that happened last year where ads, I think, is it pornography ads now were targeted
Yes,
at
yes,
children on
yes,
their devices.
yes,
And the
yes, yes.
parents tried to watch it. They could not see it until they put their child's face and then that ad showed. So that tells you that this thing is being targeted. So if we're not going the extra mile to even let our children know the red flags, when they see it, they wouldn't even know what to do. They will be confused. And when they are confused, they may just play along. But if they have been pre-informed, when they see those things, they are able to, speak up and alert their parents, okay, this is what is going on. So in as much as we're talking about protective software, and all those sort of stuff, we need to know that these predators are sneaking, should I say, behind the barriers we are putting up.
Putting up, yeah.
And we've got to be
Thank you
conscious
very
about
much.
it.
Yes. So while you were speaking, we had Rhoda and KK coming. So let's just hear a good morning from them. Rhoda, good morning. KK, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everyone.
KK,
You're welcome.
KK Nation. Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Well there, well there.
KK is just getting younger every day.
Yes, so I have to be younger.
You know, hungry. You're no fit. All right. So we're speaking on sector predictions, and we took a reel into some of the predictions for 2021 and beyond. And we try to let our audience get informed that when we talk about prediction, we're not just saying we are projecting what will happen, but we are also creating counsel and advisory comments that people can profile themselves through or profile themselves with. And so these are things that happen both for the individual, these are things that also happen for organizations, professionals, and stakeholders as a And we would like to find out, are there predictions that you have at the back of your mind? Did you get to follow us before coming online to probably pick some of the things I've said?
No.
So maybe let's just hear one or two predictions from Rhoda, from you, Atiti as well, and Ugochi and Jude. What are the sector predictions? So let's speak.
Okay, so I mean, just off the top of my head, right? I haven't heard the rest. I didn't listen in on the rest of the conversation, but just looking at what's going on right now, purely from the perspective of this second wave, it almost seems like there's going to be a shrink in private school education in terms of the facilities, private schools that exist. I foresee that there might be a shrink because a lot of parents are staying home and they're pulling in teachers from their children's school to work with their children at home. So if you don't have a lot of students in school and your teachers are working in homes, obviously it's going to be difficult to sustain that business. So I envisage that there might be a shrink. I also, of course, this one goes without saying that literacy levels are going to drop. However, I do see a new rise of superpowers in the education sector, people who can use technology, people who are responsive enough to what is going on in terms of what do parents need right now? What is the focus of education? Where should we be going in terms of skill set? So I do see a rise of superpowers in the education sector digitally at this time. So those are my predictions. In terms of public schools, it's a tough call because things are not as open as they should be. So the data that we are getting might not necessarily be the correct data. And it's difficult to then make predictions based on data that doesn't really exist. But the number of out-of-school children obviously are rising. The number of learning gaps, the size of learning gaps is also increasing. So, yeah. We also need to change, another prediction, we need to change our assessment models. It's ridiculous. It's not anymore. I mean, in the UK, and we are still doing IGCSE. We are still doing checkpoint. They are not doing it anymore. They are moving into grading system for the school. So we need to change it. So that was not prediction. That
Okay.
I like that. I like that.
I totally agree with KK. I think I'll just add that, I mean, various sectors will require, or various levels of education will require different kind of, will experience different kind of things. Things like a higher education will have its own type of changes. Basic education. Our pick on is that a lot more of, in terms of higher education, a lot more of these higher education institutions will work in partnership with industry, really just to meet workforce needs. There will be a radicalization of the curriculum for them, a rethinking, because again, just as KK alluded, that some of the skills are required. Some people don't really need to go to school. I was having a conversation with my friend who was consulting me on what I think about what she needs to with respect to getting her son to the next level after O levels. And she was asking me, does he really need to be in a school? And you know what my answer was? Does he really need to be in a school or connected to school this year? No. The answer is straight no, he doesn't. Because his pathway includes, going to the UK to do A levels, or as one option, and another option just transitioning to another A levels here in Nigeria. And that pathway does not require necessarily a school giving me results. Look, a lot of people are going to take results from any kind of tutoring, whether it's homeschooling or systems that have, some kind of online homeschooling. All them IXL testing and assessment portals will go and give automated results and transcripts and things like that. And so there's different things are happening for different group levels. But one thing I know that will also happen is, if you look at the example of U-Lessons and the funding that U-Lessons has received, and of course the funding that Elon Musk has done for Khan Academy, Salma Khan, I respect you. He's gotten from Bill Gates, he's gotten from the richest people in the world. Is a trajectory of the kind of education we will consume. So we'll consume, of course, as I was saying, consume education in a whole lot of different way. Recorded videos will be critical. People will do recorded videos. And for the public sector, offline digital solutions are going to take. That's what we are doing at my workplace, providing MP3 players to kids that offer them all their own personalized learning that's taking classroom to them wherever they are. These things will be scaled across, and we're getting a lot of buzz from different people asking us for different things. But the truth that's how education is going to go. There's just a complete digital transformation, and that's the main prediction for education. Will people essentially change? Maybe habits, yes. Maybe new learning for teachers in particular. Teachers will, I foresee that some teachers will become very strong social media influencers. I see that coming. I don't know why. I just have that feeling because, like I said, a lot of parents their option is to get a private teacher. Look, that's serious. That's significant. We've been saying it for years, Jude. I'm sure you know.
Yes.
Recorded video will definitely move up to main stage, and these teachers will take value in
content.
Yes. They'll make content. They'll create content. and all of that. So a lot of even the videos that they're going to be creating will also be gamified, and all of those things. So this kind, and then this thing we're doing, like I'm doing right now, camera off, it'll be fine. It will be fine for most students. Audio off will be okay for teachers as well. Yeah.
Rhoda, it's not fine, no. It's not fine.
It's definitely going to be fine.
That's the classroom. It's not fine on the Good Morning Education show.
Believe me, it's going to be fine.
Before it's fine, we want it to be on
time.
But
all for teachers will also be fine, because guess what? It's less about what the teacher is saying and more about what the kids are saying.
Sorry, yeah.
All right, so I think Titi, you've not said anything, no. Titi, you just decided to.
Honestly, I think some of what I wanted to say has been said. A number of parents would consider more of the homeschooling, and so what's going to happen is that every support that is required for homeschooling will see an increase. You know that homeschooling requires a network of support in terms of educational resources. It also requires social support. So for people that do homeschooling, they're actually homeschooling clubs, whereby, we might meet once a week, organize an event and a day for the kids to just socialize, because schooling is not the academics. There needs to also be that social. So even as people choose to do homeschooling, there'll be an increase for that, social gathering that are not necessarily related to physical school, but related to homeschooling network of things. So you see a lot of that network begin to happen. I think a lot of what you will see also is a shift of things that will happen online. So when I mean a shift of things that will happen online, like this chick said, in terms of her conference this year, she's going to focus on online safety. A lot more will happen online, whereby a lot of that physical conferences that we had, people would want there to be a shift in it in online. In as much as people would like there to be physical, they will also want that shift. Especially for an epicenter of education like Lagos State, where a number of people come out of town to come and attend. People will want there to be a shift in that, where even though you're doing the physical conference, even in Lagos, they want to know that you're broadcasting to the rest of the world. So that means that even if you decide to still go on with the physical conference, you need to make room for that technology aspect to be able to broadcast. So let me give you like an idea of WinBees still did the physical, but they now had this broadcast where people, so the people took place physically, but a lot of people all over the world could attend, because people want to attend some things that location and transportation just didn't make it make sense. So a lot of that shift is going to happen, and all the resources needed to support that shift is happening. So teachers, what Rhoda said, teachers need to be more on social. One of the things that you find out in education spaces, a lot of teachers are not. They're not on any form, or even where they are, they're not active on that form. So if you look at influencers currently in education space, you rarely find any. You will rarely find any that has even a large following. So it means that because the teachers themselves were not on social media, with the exception of Facebook. So a lot of that is going to happen. So it's really for people that will then go online and then do that. A lot of teachers too are going to be having multiple streams of income, because as online opens up, it also opens up for multiple streams of income. So yes, you have the opportunity to do your 8 to 5 job, but you also have other sources of income. Over there we have the teachers pay teachers. I have to commend eBay for wanting to try and start a local marketplace. So there's going to be that. And it's really for the teachers that know how to use technology, know how to create value, and value that they can pass on online, that will do that. And of course, gamification is going to be big, because it's tough. It's tough being able to hold people's attention. So we need to be more creative. We need to be creative with technology. Don't just think you're going to stand in front of a class and talk. You have to add more creativity. So anybody that's going to support that gamification, that when I mean gamification, I speak of it broad. That adding that fun element, that gaming element to education is really going to be at the forefront. And when I say gamification, don't always think gamification driven by technology. It's just how do you create more engagement and more fun learning as we go online, or as we do blended, so to speak.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. About everyone. I said something, I believe, on the sector prediction, but I'd like to draw attention on something, and I hope that I'm able to articulate this properly. And it's looking at it from this perspective that, okay, we tend to look at, okay, now let me not use that. Now, what do you have to say as experts and professionals when it comes to movement, relocation, migration, and the concepts and the likes? What are your takes on that, looking at it as how it also affects the sector in 2021? You know, what are your
People are
thoughts?
going
What
to
are
move.
So
People are
let me
going
let
to
me
move because the world is increasingly, if anything else, the pandemic last year, it showed how you could do a lot from any location. People were here in Nigeria hosting conferences with people from other parts of the country, and now people can see that you can also be out there and having things with people in Nigeria. So you don't necessarily need to be in Nigeria to get things done. So people would keep things, and again, because of social issues in the country, what happened with NSAS, a lot of people are now beginning to think, okay, if I'm not being protected here, how about I look for someone? And you know, people keep saying for the children, because that's the major trend. You keep hearing them say, oh, want to give the children a better future, want to give the children. It keeps on being that, oh, it's just about the children, it's about the children. So you would keep hearing that because people will now begin to see that it's possible for you to own your business from outside the country and still be able to do as much in other countries of the world, because the world is getting really, really interconnected. If nothing else, the pandemic has made that happen. So people will think of other options to move.
Let me give a quick
okay? So
example. I received a message a couple of weeks ago from Singapore, and that message was asking for a particular role, serving as in academics and leadership in a school in Singapore. And the person was asking for not just myself, but also asking for references. And these people already know who you are. They know you're a Nigerian. They've seen everything about your profile. And what I'm trying to say is that like we used to say that talent is given to all, but opportunity not. And then what globalization has done now, and digitization has done, especially with skills, that's a skill set that people are growing these days, and that you don't really need to be anywhere part, or you can be in Nnewi and be a digital king, and work for somebody in Singapore as well. It doesn't matter. It's like borderless. Education has, but skill has become borderless. But even more so, to just to say what you're saying, which is with respect to relocation, migration, that is the physical movement of the person, the actual being himself, the matter that is the human being, to another place. That is also happening, because it's going to happen because, again, a lot of world people now know, everybody in the world now know this. Look, it's not even about how you sound, how you speak. I don't know if you've heard even the way Singaporeans sound like Igbo people. So anyway, they don't sound exactly different from Igbos. Really, I don't know. Really, it's true. I mean, and you guys know all the professors around the world that are Nigerians. It doesn't matter. Nobody really cares. We just want to know what's in your brain. Please, just come on, and do the job. That's it. Just do the job. What's your job description? Get it done. Deliver on your KPIs. Period. If the person is writing English, it doesn't matter. Just come and deliver. That's it. And that's what's going to happen. That migration is going to happen. Physical body movement, matter movement is going to happen because skills have become borderless.
Yes.
KK, that's in short.
Yeah, so hey, this is fire. So yeah, absolutely, I agree with Safety Chick and Rhoda. increasingly we are going to see an export of skills, because people, I mean, so I don't know how many of you are on Clubhouse. I wrote to me, we need to take this to Clubhouse. So if you are on Clubhouse, for example, you would notice that when you go into some of those rooms, the discussions going on, people who, and their voice discussions. So people who normally would have all those beautiful certificates on their profiles on social media or somewhere else, right now, people are inviting you to speak and you don't have content. You cannot say it. So there, another thing that I see is that there's going to be a decline in certificates of that's the stars and the shiny glitter around people's certificates. I think there's going to be a defocus on that, and skills and what you can actually, as Rhoda just said, what you can actually do. Don't tell me that you can do it. Do it. You know, let's see it get done. Binima go say, you know, let's see it get done. If you can't do it, then step out of the room. So I see that we're going to be seeing a lot of that. I also begin to see that people are finally going to find their voice, because the thing about the digital spaces, you do not really have to conform to what other people's voices. You know, you can actually find your voice, grow a community that would gravitate towards that voice. So yes, there will be a rise in digital. I don't think we can escape it. So we need to begin to position ourselves, both as individuals and as institutions, to take advantage of the change that has already started. Thank you, guys.
Fantastic.
Yeah, okay. I'll say we're already seeing it now, that when you host a meeting, people will ask you and you say, they'll start weighing the options. Is it compulsory? It must be face to face, or we should just go on like you would have perceived it from people's perception of how people should be meeting or how seminars should be delivered at this point. I was able to work with some medical experts in London. Yes, that was last year. They did several seminars, right, for medical professionals around the world, and they needed content tweaking and all that for their profiles and all that. So which I worked with them on. And they were asking me, why not just come to London? And I say, if the London money will favor me here, I'd rather be paid the pounds here than go there and start paying a lot of taxes. So there will be this crossover anyway. There will be this crossover between skills, and nobody will care. Like Rhoda said, nobody will care how much Queen's English you can speak, as long as you can deliver perfect or excellent services.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Titi seems not to be here. But then we've had a great time. We've had a great show today. And thank you for all the comments. Thank you for those who joined us and those who watched the replay. It's been a fantastic time talking about sector predictions. And like I said, these are not things that we just put out there to make people feel, well, it's cased and it's fixed. These are counsels that you can leverage on. So it's almost telling you the direction of the market, or better still, for you to make better judgment and prediction of the market and the industry. And once you're able to do that, you'll probably be one of the top gainers as opposed to being the top losers, not just in the short term, but in the midterm and also eventually in the long term. We thank our analysts and experts today for showing up. Rhoda, thank you. Titi, thank you. Ugochi, thank you. Dr. Prophet Jude, thank you for showing up and backing me up as against the people who want to outnumber me. And of course, AK, for always coming up with some swagnificent, outlooks, You're like a teenage.
I need your wardrobe consultant.
KK's, should I tell you about KK's wardrobe? It's a mini theater. It's a studio, it's a dance hall, it's everything.
It's camera angles.
Camera.
So don't be humble. All right. So do have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, we'll be back on Monday, and the conversations keep getting better. It's always a great morning, like we always say, on the Good
On the
Morning.
Good Morning Education Show.
Have a great day. Have a weekend special. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.